Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you taking the time to come out on this rainy day. About a year ago, we learned that there was a proposal to have a gun range in the building that's behind us, right next to the park that we're standing in. Our zoning rules allow a gun range in an industrial area, which that is over there, as long as it's 1,000 feet away from residential homes. And but those very same rules did not allow it to be 1,000 feet from a park. So a park was excluded. It was only 1,000 feet from any residences. So last year I said that there needed to be a change in our code to address that and take into consideration how close a gun range could be to a park. Places where families gather with children and where we encourage community to enjoy open spaces. This park is a very highly used park. Today we're taking the very first step toward addressing the issue, and I want to emphasize it's the first step. There are several other steps that have to be taken. It's not going to cure all the issues. It's certainly not going to affect what's going to be in this building in the future. Right now it's a gun store, but it began a while ago, actually a year ago, when a gun range was proposed. So our current code allows it to remain as gun school, which is behind us, but that still needs to be looked at because as part of the gun school, an accessory use is to have a lane where people can practice. So we've been asked, and we're going to look at what the accessory use table is and how we can address that. But as you all know, in government, change happens step by step by step, and this is really the first step to that. Today, we are going to add to our code that it's 1,000 feet from residences or a public park. So this way, a gun range, even though it can be allowed in an industrial area, if it's within 1,000 feet of not only just residents, but also of a public park, then it would not be allowed. It would not be permitted. So tonight, at my direction, the city will bring forward a proposal to add those three words, or public park, to the rules that govern where you can open a gun range in our city. As I said earlier, right now the law requires 1,000 feet between a gun range and the nearest home. And my proposal will change that to be 1,000 feet from the nearest home or a public park. We can't go back and do this retroactively. We can't retroactively apply the rules to existing businesses, so this change won't affect any case that has started, the case that started the debate. The new rule will not address whether a gun school should be allowed. But let me tell you what it'll do. It will prevent any further proposed gun ranges from opening so close to public parks. As I said, we can't go back, but we can improve the future. I'll continue to look into specifics of the case that started last year, but while doing that, we need to take steps towards the future as well. This isn't about restricting the public's ability to own and use guns, and it's entirely about where we as a community believe future gun ranges should be allowed to open in our city, and how close we think they should be to our public spaces. The change will be proposed at tonight's planning board meeting. From there, it goes to the City Commission for a vote. In addition to changing the 1,000 feet rule, I'm also proposing a change in the process that will allow more opportunity for the public to voice its opinion next time someone wants to open a gun range in our city. I have always been and continue to be a strong advocate of open and transparent government. The change in the process ensures that the residents will have a say next time this comes to our city. A year ago, I said I thought parks needed to be part of the consideration. Today, I'm keeping that promise and taking steps to make sure that that happens. What questions do you have?
Why do you think this is important, ma'am?
Well, I think it's important because as of now, if a gun range that wants to open in a commercial area or industrial area, if it's 500 feet from a park, it could open. Now we're saying it has to be 1,000 feet or more away from a park, not just residents.
All right, and in terms of gun school itself, how do you ensure that they're running it the way that they're saying, and when you talk about the accessory and so on?
Well, we are going to make sure it runs the way it says through our code enforcement process. That's why we have code enforcement process. They have some rules and regulations that they have to follow, and we'll make sure that that happens.
Is there any way you can include gun school in the new idea?
Well, we're looking at several ways to address that. One of them is that we're looking at our industrial code. So we're going to have light industrial and industrial. The light industrial will be that around neighborhoods. So if we say that gun stores would not be permitted in light industrial, but only industrial, I think that will help to keep it away from neighborhoods. Other questions?
Do you understand, I guess, the frustration a little bit, because I think people were so relieved to hear that
I know.
the gun range wasn't coming, and now they're hearing that the gun school, they're like a little upset. You know?
I understand that. I understand that. And that's why we've taken steps to make sure that we can address it in the future.
And Mayor, I guess, what is so bad about having a gun range close to a park? What would be bad about having a gun range right across the street?
Well, I think probably the residents could answer that way better than I can. But the answer is that we have children playing here, and with the gun range, people will be coming to that place with loaded guns. They'll be driving up in a car with a loaded gun. We don't know where they're going to go after they've been in the school and practice shooting or using a gun range. So I think it's just the fact that the safety measure to be put in place for the people who use this park.
Is the gun school a done deal, or is that still being worked out, do you know?
The gun school is permitted in that area.
Is it up and running yet?
I don't know the answer to that. Do you guys know if it's up and running yet? Do you know, Linda?
Is there anything you can do to keep the gun school from coming there?
Retroactively, that would be really difficult. Right now, it's permitted by our code. The applicant in this process has as many rights as all of the rest of us do, and he has a right to a fair hearing with, an understanding of what the code is. Other questions?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. We're excited about this. We think it's a good step, and we know that there are other steps that have to be taken, and we're going to make sure that those happen as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.